Well, you know, I don't really have an opener. Like, I hate openers in a way, because I feel like they're cheesy just a little bit. I haven't found an opener that makes me feel like...
You gotta get that practice in the mirror.
You know, like, Wardo says my opener is, I'm not gonna, you know, waste any more time. I'm gonna get right into it. That's my opener, I guess. So I'm not gonna waste any more time, get right into it. And we just gonna start this interview with, like, you know, talking about you, who you are, just kind of like telling the people about your background.
Yeah, well, my name's HAILEE DYER, and I currently work as a director and various other things as well. I kind of started out as an actress and then moved my way into a lot of different fields that kind of granted me the ability to know that I want to be on, like, both sides of the camera, I guess. I really like the background of things. So
right, yeah.
Found a little pocket.
Yeah. Okay, was you always, like, directing and acting, or was directing never really like a thing in your head when you was younger?
No, I didn't see it in my head at all, but I think one thing that really stuck with me was whenever I was working as an actress, I come from theater.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more time and preparation in theater than there is in film whenever it comes to actually preparing in all ways. It's a lot more just production prep, exactly. Which makes sense wholeheartedly, but as an actor, I got to work with a director who was very much willing to make sure that I was good at what I did, and that made a relationship that I feel like a lot of actors, especially in film, don't get the opportunity to actually have.
Right.
So working with him gave me the ability to know that I actually care and take the time about the craft.
Yeah.
And then the program that I was in at the time was in high school we did this thing where you had to audition to be in any of the plays. You had to audition for this company in order to be in the plays at all completely. So it was like, they called it a production company. It was called Blue Curtain Productions.
Okay.
Yes, it was pretty smooth. And so every person who was in the class had to do a crew job, and you also had to audition for the plays itself once you were a part of the company, which is how actual production companies work. So it gave me an insight. And so literally when I'm lead on a show, I'm running backstage making sure people have their props and stuff before I go back on, and that just gave me like a completely different insight, I guess you could say, about how things like really work.
Right.
I'm not entitled to anything.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. Was directing more fun, or was acting more fun for you? What is it?
They're both very challenging. Acting's probably more fun. Yeah, acting's more fun.
But I asked that.
Acting's fun. Acting's pretty fun, man.
Yeah,
you get to get lost. You get to get lost. You don't have to be. You have to be determined and like focused, but you get to play around in it once you know it.
Right.
Like as a director, it's like, you get to play around a little bit, but you have to know it so much that you basically follow this itinerary that you've built for yourself, essentially, in your head.
Yeah, it is different mindsets, especially, and when you're an actor and when you're a director, you have to be on 24/7 in your mind, and as an actor or actress, you can leave your mind, because as the character, you're like trying to get into that mode. So like,
it's like you get more into yourself.
Exactly.
It's like, I can just go in here and I can be in here, and y'all don't have to bother me. That's everything.
I don't have to talk to anyone. I'm in my zone. Please don't mess it up.
I'm in the corner. Don't talk to the actors. That's how I am.
No, I love that. Okay, well, the reason why I asked was because I thought you was gonna say that directing was more fun for you.
Yeah.
You know why? But to hear the opposite really shows me that sometimes, you know, it's not about the fun. It's more about the drawing passion, I guess, like what you feel yourself being drawn to. Because I'm definitely an example of like going from actor to now going behind the scenes and doing more. And it's definitely just a draw, like, of passion that you really have to be behind the camera. Because not a lot of people like to be behind the camera. Everybody likes to be in front. Like,
I agree, and I think, like, just to say what you say about, you know, being surprised that you heard that, I think I was surprised as well. I didn't expect that question. I've never been asked, and I do think that it is something that is different. And what you say to being drawn to it, it's like, I'm a person who believes that like everything should be fun, like you should be enjoying everything that you're doing, because that's how you should live your life.
Of course, yeah.
But I do think that there's certain things that you have to actually decide, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And acting was always fun and easy, so I was, yes, naturally drawn to it, but it was like this easy thing for me to do, so it didn't challenge me.
Yeah.
So I can say that it is more fun, but no, I like to be challenged and make sure I'm continuously getting better at what I do, instead of just doing something because I'm good at it.
Right, because pressure makes diamonds.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
sure.
no, and that's ultimately what you should search for as an artist, is the most challenging thing of the project, and which kind of brings me to my next point about being, you know, jack of all trades and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why it's cool to be a jack of all trades, is because you're able to figure out, like, if you have an idea, you're able to put it into different categories for yourself and see which one is the best one for what you're trying to get, like what point you're trying to get across. And sometimes, a lot of times, most of the times, the one that's the best one is the hardest one.
It's the one that gets your heart pumping. It's that one that's like, am I really gonna jump off my chair and do this one? Yeah, it does. It really does. And then also just that, you know, that feeling of accomplishment that you get after that. But then also, you know, like one thing that I found, like, in the director role is, I learned that I can't ask somebody to do something for me if I don't know what I'm asking, because I'm not going to get what I want. So I was like, okay, well, I really have to dive in and actually become a jack of all trades for real. You know what I mean? And I think that's like what caused me to be a director to actors. I'm more so learning about the camera in the state that I'm in right now, and I know a lot now within a year of like knowledge and studying, but I think I'm a director for like actors, because like I said, they don't get that opportunity to actually like grow and push, and I can do that. Like, that's what I love. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I love that. And it sounds like to me is like your real overall like thing is like being the actress who's not the director. You can like necessarily communicate a lot better with the actors and the actors, and like really have that deep dialogue with them, which is very, very important, because like I know a lot of directors who will say something and the actor will be on stage or be in the film like, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna do something and I'm hoping that it's good. But I don't think
they're disappointed. Like,
then they're like, that's not what I was looking for. And it's like, you didn't tell me what you were looking for. Like, I need more emotion. I need more.
And it's hard because, like, how do you tell somebody you don't know?
Exactly.
You know, you maybe see this person one time whenever they're getting casted. Maybe you talk to them a couple times in between.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're on set with this person and you didn't have any real rehearsal time, maybe a week. Like, in a theater, you're there 3 months beforehand. Like, you go, and you're with these people all day, every day. You know, and that's a relationship. Like, that's, you know, how is the director supposed to, if I don't call you and actually ask how you're doing? Like, on the last film I did, I made sure, I tried as diligently as I could as far as schedules were concerned and budget, but just making sure that I gave all the actors at least time where I sat down and talked to them as much as possible before we got on. I just want them to be comfortable, you know what I mean? And I don't want my crew to be sitting here waiting on an actor to have a good take, because I'm not getting a bad take.
Exactly.
Like, no, it's not happening. I need you to work. So
no, for sure, for efficiency and a lot of things. I mean, also comfortability for the actress and the actors. I think that when someone is able to talk that language, the person, and it's not just actors, it's sometimes even camera work and like different things of that nature. When you're able to talk that language, the person is a lot more, I feel like, open to you, and like they open up. Like, it's almost like when you walk in the room, you go, anybody's a Marvel fan, and like y'all start talking about Marvel or whatever, you know, whatever it may be. It's like y'all have that common mutual ground, you know, just you're meeting it, and like it makes the person a little bit more open to talk to you, you know. Because I feel like a lot of cameramen, especially made me realize this, is like cameramen, I feel like, are some of the worst people at it. Is they like, if you don't know what you're talking about camera, they will give you the most smoothiest look ever and make you feel like you are so beneath them. Like, how dare you come over here?
It's true. It's true.
But it's like, I have a vision, I just don't know how to say it. So I think that is really, really important that we,
And that's like a hard thing to speak on what you were saying. I do wholeheartedly agree. And that cameraman director thing it's hard because a lot of the time people don't know. it took me a second to find the lane because am learning cameras but don't know what camera to pick up and be like, all right, what lens do we use? You know what I'm saying? Of course I have to learn that as a director.
Fact.
But just being in the space and actually getting there. But a cameraman can't tell. A cameraman can tell his crew.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a cameraman also has a vision that is separate from a director. Exactly. So there has to be cahoots there, and there has to be very much understanding there. And a director should be able to speak to the cameraman, and then should be able to turn around and speak to the actor, then should turn around and be able to speak to audio, and should turn around and be able to speak to their producer. And it should be the same exact thing that you said, but you said it in so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Because every person needs a different verbiage.
Exactly.
You gotta know all those things that camera's not gonna care about what needs to be on slate right now. I mean, they need to know that it's there, but like I'm focused on what this looks like right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree. I think that was one thing that I was thinking the whole entire time when you was saying that, which was golly, you was talking about like directing and talking to different people, like the sound people and the film people. And I think, the vision part, the cameraman has the vision. He has a vision that he sees. And you also have that vision, and coming to those mutual grounds, you need to be able to talk that language.
Have to.
Like you have to. For sure. Because communication is our biggest barrier, especially as creators. And I think that is like the number one thing, not only just like in the sense of communicating to your actors and your camera and the audio. I think it's also very important in the sense of like the sense of your work and what you're like putting out, like being able to communicate your message in this art form to the people and them completely understand what you're saying is a hard task. But I'm curious about your work and like how do you go about that and what your work exactly aims to say.
I'll speak to like embodiment. Like that's the only word I want to use to like say anything back to that is embodiment, because I feel like before you even get something on a page, on a, you know what I'm saying, whether it's a film, whether it's a song, whether it's a poem, whether it's whatever the case may be, whenever it's on the page, you know that you have to feel it. Like you have to let it all out there. You know what I mean? Like really all out there. Because if you try to move in the creative process before it's all out on the page, you're skipping some expression, and then later down the line you're gonna get to a point where you have to express that because you're gonna get to that blockage, and it's going to be something that you now have to figure out and pivot around. But if you spend time, like I'm writing a script right now and it's taking me forever because I'm really going into all the details, because whenever I get off of that page, I want to be able to communicate everything. Like everything. Down to my shot list, I'm not going back to look at. I don't want to. I should know what's next. You know what I'm saying? And I think that takes a lot more dedication than a lot of people are willing, because the expression is completely different than the dedication. Like we talked about that earlier. You know what I'm saying? So I could express and I could express and I could express, but I have to make sure that I'm pouring and then I'm letting myself become it and like embody it for the time that I'm expressing with it. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that is a creative thing, is that we do work on projects that have feelings. So let's get that shit out. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's our job. You know what I mean? Really. So I think that clears up the communication barriers, period. For sure.
No, and that's true, because that's you speaking to that truth aspect, and that's one thing that kind of like been the highlight through a lot of these interviews I've done is truth, and like how important truth is, and whatever the truth may be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's important. Like, that's what we look for. That's what we are drawn to.
Because you can't lie.
No,
you can't lie.
No, I mean, think about it. Like, we don't listen to Kids Bop all the time. Like, there might be a few bops on Kids Bop, but like it's the old CDs when they were releasing CDs at that, and like now, you know what I'm saying? When we were young and we remember from our childhood, but that is once again connected to that truth of ours. And I don't think like we could go back to Kids Bop nowadays and bump Kids Bop, because it's like they're not really talking about anything. They're just repeating what this person said, and then they're not even doing it right because they're PG-13 in it.
That's why
so
R&B is not the same no more.
Exactly.
Like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not gonna.
It's not.
Sucks too.
No, it really does. It really, really does. Like,
well, you gotta enjoy these moments, man. For real.
I'm telling you, because they can be gone in the blink. They can be really gone in the blink.
Never gonna feel the same.
Never gonna feel the same.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part. And that's like, as artists, we're trying to do is capture that moment in a little picture frame and hanging on a wall. So every time we come to it, it's like, ah.
And it's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, it's just so good. You know?
Yeah. Facts. That's so real. Yeah.
But yeah, my reason for that is just I'm really I'm gonna go this way. I was gonna move on to the next question, but I'm really curious about when you're writing and you're trying to pull from that truth and everything of the nature, like tapping into that place, like before even writing the script. Like how do you like figure out like, okay, I'm gonna write about, all right, I guess I'm gonna write about this, and this truth is what I'm gonna put in it. Like, this is what, do you have that message like at the beginning, or is this something that like you start writing a cool idea and the truth comes as you're writing the idea? Like, I'm curious. Wholeheartedly.
There's two different scenarios, right? So I could be writing something for myself, or I could be writing something through my production company with writers and actually working with a client. So there's two different ways that goes. And whenever I write for myself, either way, whenever the truth comes to the page, if it is me and me, I kind of come with the truth beforehand. The same way you kind of write a song and you know what you're feeling, but the words kind of don't come out right. It's like that, where it's like the hardest part isn't finding the truth. The hardest part is communicating the truth and making sure that I do get it all out and that somebody can understand. And then also it's like there's so many, we think about truth as like, we're sitting here today right now, so that's truth. But there's so many things that you're going through right now, and there's so many things that I'm going through right now that are both very truthful. And it's not my job to judge the truth, but it is my job to make sure that I make sure that the page knows your expression and knows my expression. And that's a very hard thing to do. Because one overall truth has a lot of different components that make somebody feel it. Because it has to be truthful to the audience as well. So they have to believe that even though if I'm the main character and I have a truth that I'm expressing, everybody else still has a way that they feel about that. You know what I mean?
Because everybody's different and everyone approaches situations differently. And I never really thought about that until you really... I've never really thought about it in that way. But yeah, no, that's real, because I mean, like, everyone does have their truth, and like, that's why you'll never win over everybody, because the way that you think the character will handle the situation, you feel like, oh yeah, that's the right way. Someone's gonna be sitting in the movie theaters, or you know, sitting there watching it, and I'm like, why did they do that? That was so stupid of them. Because in their perspective, they would never in a million years do that. Like, no, I would do this.
So there's got to be somebody around who asks the question, are you sure you want to do that? You don't want to do this? Like, give him the question. Like, you got to ask those questions for sure.
And I think that's an important fact about having people around. Do you have people like that read over and skim over and like say, hey, I don't know, like to kind of like challenge your writing in a way?
Yes, that's why I love working with clients. Like, that is the client part. Whenever I have them myself, I do have somebody go over them, but a lot of the times whenever it's my full writing and somebody's going over them, it feels very ingenuine. Like, it feels almost like, why are you touching this? And I don't think you meant that. Give it back. Let's talk about it before I give it to you. It feels a little invasive. But whenever it is my client, that's when I do feel like I'm being challenged the most as a writer, because every week I'm going back to somebody and we're talking about it and having different truths at that point too, that I'm having to express on a page, and really being able to understand what my client does want out of this character or out of this page, or things like that. But I do feel challenged in those moments, and it's a lot of fun because I might see it one way and then they'll call me and be like, yo, I had this great idea, and then I meshed them together, and it's like it made everything more full. So I feel very blessed to have that, for sure.
No, I brought that up because I think a lot of people a lot of times don't like showing their work, because we're artists and we're sensitive about our shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been said millions of times, and it's true. I'm guilty. I'm a little guilty. I'm guilty of it. Like, seriously, like, even the lights, for instance, like small little things, like I come back and I'm like, no, I want the light like this. You know what I'm saying? But like my people are like, well, the lights actually look better this way if you do this way. You know, I'm like, okay, you're right, you know. But like that's me being an artist and being invested in what I'm doing, and saying like, okay, I really, 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 really want this to come to life. How I see it in my head, and I think that also another important point that you had made was you had said that you sometimes involve like side people, but you love your employees. And I feel like that is because your employees come with not just criticism, but constructive criticism, which is hard, especially when you're not involved in the project. Because there's people dealing with a lot of emotions. We're human. People see you working and like they see you working on your fourth script and like, I'm not working on what you know what I'm saying? So now I'm a little jealous, so my criticism is going to be rooted in that, and it's like it's not going to come from a good place. So it's just going to make you more angry, and like you're not going to have a clear idea of what to do or where to go next, because they didn't give you no direction. They just kind of gave you criticism. And I think your employees give you more constructive because they are invested.
They're invested. They care.
Right.
Yeah. I think the thing about my clients that I've loved, I've been so blessed. Truly, because I've had my production company for probably a year now, and this is gonna be crazy later. Like I'm telling you. But it's weird that it's almost like they're like more invested than me. Like they're coming up with so many, and it's hard because I have to bring them back in and reel them back in a lot because they don't fully understand the process. Right. But you know when you get to a creative block when you're creative something and you're like, damn, what do I do now? You know? I don't have that. So it does move quicker. It's a little bit more sporadic, but no, people are coming to me with what they believe in. So I'm getting belief. I'm not getting, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to read this script. But I got hired to, she paid me to read this script and edit it. So I'm going to edit it and I don't even like it. So, you know what I mean?
Right,
and that's cool.
That's
but if you don't get it, you're not going to be able to receive it. And that's a good thing to know at that point though too, because that means that the truth isn't all the way on the page. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, but I would rather have people who are invested tell me.
Exactly. No, I can definitely agree. Like, I mean, personally, I don't involve everybody on my projects anymore. I don't really call on too many people when I have ideas anymore.
No. Hell no.
Because I've realized that sometimes when I call the same people over and over again, and they're not necessarily as active as me, they feel like I'm a challenge. Like, and as weird as that is, because I never said we was on this, like, competing or we were on a competition or I'ma beat you. I genuinely just wanted, like, different opinions and perspectives. And, like, of course, like, I would even involve them. Like, I would invite them onto, like they would even take that as, like, don't invite me there. Like, so, like, I do like people who are already invested to be the people that I talk to about the idea, because you lose that sometimes, and I say sometimes because sometimes people stare at me a little borderline, like jealous, and you're like, why though? You're involved, like your name's gonna go across the credits just like me. Let's just make the dream happen,
Man, so, that's an energy thing. Like, I believe in working with people I resonate with. Like, I've said that for some years now, because if I do try to work with somebody who doesn't get it, or who doesn't have the same energy, and it's like it's so subtle sometimes, like, man, because you think, you bring somebody in on it and you put their name on it and you think that this is gonna be good, right? And then if you really pay attention though, if you become a bird's eye view person and you really just watch and feel it out, you'll know. And I've gotten a lot better at knowing that, and so I really try to not make sure that I don't work with people who I don't feel good about. Man, as long as I didn't sign no contract, if I'm walking up to the door and it feels uncomfortable for me, I'm leaving. And that's real. And I don't think that we grant ourselves that ability a lot, because you had every ability in that moment to say, look, bro, I fuck with you. You're involved, but listen, we just gonna have to move you over here because you're affecting the energy of the project.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, we gotta be about what our art is and what we want, and people, that's okay.
No,
you're not energetically ready, and that's
real.
fine, but that's not your burden to take on. And if we keep the energy around in those times just because that's our homeboy or that's our friend or that's our sister or whatever the case may be, it's not worth it.
Yeah, curating.
Let it go.
Let it go.
They gotta let
it go. How do you go about navigating the creative world, especially in the film world? Like, how do you go about navigating that? Because I make a lot of these videos, and I say this every time. I make a lot of these videos for the up-and-coming artists, and I want artists who are up-and-coming to look back at these videos and just like say, hey, that's how I'm supposed to do it. Oh, okay. Because we have tutorials on everything, but we don't have tutorials on how to actually do this. Like, we don't have tutorials on how to actually be a director or be an actor or actress or a musician or what. And people are just doing what they think, you know? Yeah. So I'm just curious of how you navigate the film world.
The word of the day is embodiment.
Embodiment.
Okay, and I just think that regardless of whatever it is you choose to do in life, you have to decide, and then you have to become it, and then you have to breathe it and live it and work on it every day, study, become, and it's, you know, so much about expression. It really is. Yeah. And it's, God bless me with some talents, sure, but at the end of the day, I really want to wake up every morning and decide that this is who I want to be. And so it's not even about the work. Like, literally, before I wake up, I know what I want to do. Like, I know what I have to do list. I know maybe I'm gonna edit this, maybe I'm gonna work on this, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, when I wake up, or at the beginning of the day when I wake up, what I say is like, my name is HAILEE DYER, and like, this is who I'm gonna be today. And like, it doesn't matter what gets accomplished or whatever, I wanna embody who I am. So then everything I touch becomes that, period. Like, you know what I mean? And then everything starts to attract to me. So navigating the, creative world? Film world, creative world. Is simply just allowing myself to be in that space and saying, because I'm in this space, because I work on it every day and I allow myself to become it, I became it, and now I'm in it, and I didn't go. I was in college for a theater degree, and then I dropped out. I had the tools, so I was like, it just doesn't feel like it's something that's necessary for me, but I did know studying was, and I did know finding myself was. So everything else after that is just whatever, and every creative process is different. If I'm working on one project, it's completely different than the last project I'm working on. So if I put myself in a structure and say that this is how things work, well, now I'm pulling the feeling out of it, and I'm not getting the expression, and I'm not finding what it feels to work on this project. And you know what I'm saying? So just embody how you feel, and embody what it feels like to when you're here setting all this shit up. I bet the first time you set all this up, it was like, oh man, I'm doing it. Like, you know what I mean? That's that feeling. And the more you tap into that, hello, season what? You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Facts, No, I love that, because it is like something that you rarely hear, because people will always say, oh, well, I communicate, and I do this, and I do that, and they have this list of things that they do, which are great, and they do it well, very well, but I feel like the embodiment thing is a more overall grab of everything, because like, if you embody what you're ultimately setting out to do, communication is clearly a thing that you're going to be doing. Like, even if that's just communicating on the paper and writing down your idea, or communicating to the next person to see if your idea actually is feasible. Like, communication is going to be there because you're gonna push for that idea to come about because you are it.
You know what they say, like, they teach you this in all the little podcasts and all the books and stuff. When you walk into a door and you walk into a room, like, breathe real quick, like, open up your chest, make sure your posture's straight, and look at everybody when you come into the room. Make eye contact with everybody. Even if you don't say nothing, you know what I'm saying? But you now have taken the energy from the room. Man, what? That's powerful, bro.
That's so real.
So now you're standing in a corner by yourself, practicing embodiment. And now all of a sudden people walking up to you, what do you do? Oh, well, let me tell you.
Let me tell you what I do.
Let me tell you.
Because your presence having in the room. look, I'm here.
But it's everybody,
it's
like,
everybody,
it's real.
yeah.
We have
And
that ability.
No, for real, and it's not even on no like pump this, I'm that, it's just simple like energy. Like it really is just energy and it confidence too, but it's really raw energy.
It's the breath, like the confidence comes naturally.
That comes,
when your posture's straight, bro.
Exactly.
Stand straight for a day, your confidence boosts
Exactly.
naturally. Like and people get mad at the confidence because they see the confidence, but they don't see the fact that you just took a breath and stood up straight.
Exactly. That's all you did, a little small little thing.
Yeah.
But what's funny about that small little thing is that's something that I was told, and a lot of the crew that's here today who did speech and debate with me, we were told to do before we walked into a competition room, is to walk into a room and take that breath and own the room and look at everyone in the room, like walk into the room, walk to your seat. Like that was what we was conditioned to do, and it really did do something to the room. Like every time we walk into the room, like people go,
yeah, they start talking about you. They're looking around, smiling.
Like, you hear what them? Oh, they gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that thing of just like, I don't know, that body language communication, I guess. It's just that communication, again, it goes
Words
back to,
are
but
only like 10% of what we really do.
Exactly.
Like,
No, for real. Look, I'm glad you said that. 10%, because I have a hard time finding words to say what I mean, because the word only means half of what I'm trying to say.
Facts, bro, facts.
That's not. If I talk to the camera for a second, that's 90% of the reason why, if you watch these interviews and you notice that I may seem like I'm like scattered and I don't finish sentences, it's probably because the sentence that I started don't completely express what I'm trying to say. So I backtrack a lot of times to try to express fully or what I'm trying to say.
Same. I do the same thing.
So, but I mean, that is very much so true. Like 10% of what you're actually trying to say can be communicated by words. A lot of the other half can be communicated by body language, but there's not many things that can be fully communicated on how you feel. It takes time with people, but there's no one like, take this pill.
That's why you gotta be an observer. You gotta watch. You have to look around and see what's going on. You know what I mean? And that was like one thing as an actor that acting coach I was telling you about. His name was Steve. Really, it was real different because I was acting in theater, and this was something that always got me. My posture was, I would do the same posture for every character. I never changed my posture.
Was it an old woman posture?
No, it was like a prissy 12-year-old posture. Like I would be playing like a mentally challenged 27-year-old woman, and I'm still like walking into the room like this, and
like you're 16.
Yeah, like I'm sitting in chairs like this and not moving. Like that doesn't happen. And so one thing that he told me was like, oftentimes if you just go and like watch people and just sit down and literally look at people, you'll see how much body language really makes a difference.
Yes.
And so that's whenever I became the observer, and I would go for like wherever I went, I would just sit down and I would just look at people. And then that gives you the ability to actually feel something outside of what you're expressing. And we're not even looking around anymore. We're looking at our phones or focus on ourselves looking in a mirror. Like actually look around and see who's around you and see how that feels. You know what I'm saying?
No, I love that point that you made about observing, because that's one thing that they teach us. You took stage movement, I'm pretty sure,
right.
And that's one thing that they try to highlight in stage movement is just like knowing where your body's at. But like the only way for you to know where your body at is you're observant of yourself, of others, of everything that's going on in the room. Like
where's the audience? Where's
the camera? You know, like being observant is like a top key point to being a great actress or actor or even performer. It's like really, really important. But another thing that I think that you had said earlier was about embodiment. And what was crazy is in stage movement, we did yoga. And yoga was like the first thing we did before we did anything else. Any exercise, we did yoga.
Same.
And it was because we needed to like focus our brain, focus our energy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So many things are going outside the world. We need to just forget about it. Come here.
Yes.
So I love that point. But it also kind of brings up the question of how much does the outside world play into your work when you're like writing and filming and doing these different projects? Like, I'm curious of how much does it play into your work?
Yeah, I was in a play called Lost in Yonkers, and I played Bella. And one thing that I noticed that I would do whenever I was an actress was I would oftentimes, like even a month after the film was done, I would still like have like the physical mannerisms, or like my verbiage would still be the same, or like things like that, and it started to take like a toll on me because I was like, wait, hold on, let me go back to me, like, you know what I'm saying? And so now I've gotten a lot better at navigating that. Even whenever I'm directing a project or like writing something, you have to sit with that energy for a long time. So I'm kind of specific on what I choose to work on, because I have done yoga and gotten myself into like a guru type of place, and I'm very happy for that and thankful for that. But it does center me, and I know that whatever we do work on as artists is going to affect our space energetically. So it does tend to trickle in for sure, but just like staying centered, waking up with the same embodiment that we talked about earlier, and just doing those things help a lot, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Especially the whole thing about tapping in. You can definitely get tapped in too far. Because I definitely know that's one of the reasons I took a break from acting. Well, it's partial the reason. The other half is because I felt like I kept getting, so Speech and Debate is all about it's a competition, of course, and there are critiques, and when you get so many critiques after so long, and so many people who are not giving you constructive criticism, just criticism because my friend is in the building and I know her and I talk to her on Facebook and we're cool, so I'm gonna rank her up even though she stumbled, she messed up, or she did whatever, or he did whatever. It's like I'm gonna rank them up and rank them over you because we have this kind of relationship, you know what I'm saying, outside the realm, which is cool. It's cool. It's real. It's cool. It's real.
I can't be mad when it works in my favor, so I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Because when I had a judge in the room that was messing with me, I sure wasn't feeling bad. So it definitely has played both sides, but what it started to do is take a toll on me mentally. Also because the characters I was playing was taking a toll on me mentally, because they wanted me to play the role so many times. After a while, like you said, you get out of there and you're still got the mannerisms, you still got the voice, you still got the thought, you still got the mindset. Because I'm a very empathetic person, not empathetic. Is that right? Okay, empathetic person, and like I wear my heart on my sleeve. So emotionally, I get invested, and when I get invested emotionally, it's hard for me to not let that show, you know, like, and pull that back. You know, it's like hard because now my heart is just talking. And so that's something that's very like borderline about acting, especially not just acting, but acting is one of the things I feel like is the most common thing that can draw you into that space of like depression or even just sadness or whatever, overwhelmness of emotions that's just coming at you, and you're not realizing that it's this character that's really bringing all these emotions on you.
Facts.
And I think that's really, really important. I'm kind of curious of how'd you deal with that.
I think that channeling your energy is something that you learn whenever you start to practice like self-help type of tools. But I don't think that it's hard, because as an actor you are taking in those emotions, and yes, it does get mentally draining. What I'll say to the first thing that you said before I go there is like fuck the industry, honestly, because I don't like the way that I'm sorry to say that, but I mean it. I mean it, and I'm sorry, I don't know what that'll do to my life, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I never liked the way that it felt to be an actor and go into a room. Like, I learned how to channel it, I learned how to do it, but I never liked it and I never respected it. And I also know that the director, casting director, producer sitting on the other side of the table is looking for, that was what was told us, is a motivation. That the person on the other side of the table is just looking for their problem to be fixed too. And I respect and understand that, but a lot of the times just the way that audition rooms are set up is very much uncomfortable for an actor who is a person who's already playing emotional things.
Exactly.
And like you said, it is hard for your heart not to get thrown out of that.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who believes in spiritual health as well. So if I'm owning a production company, and if I decide I'm going to be a director and hire actors, please, what can I do to make sure that they feel comfortable?
Exactly.
Even if they suck. Even if they come in here, I'm like, it's time, whatever,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
I need to make sure that regardless, whoever comes in my space felt valued, like,
Exactly.
period.
Yeah.
And that's something that really meant something to me. And I feel like I've been embodying that pretty well, especially to my ability. But I do hope to expand on that, making sure that the actors I work with and that I audition feel like, at least for their time, for them to spend this much time with no money, no pay, no value to them as a person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to give them that.
Yeah.
And then just as far as like how I handle that, I think that spiritual health thing comes in whenever you learn how to like channel the energy, because it's not a bad thing. Like we think that it's a bad thing, that are, oh my gosh, I have all these emotions now and I feel all these ways and what am I gonna do, and now I'm overwhelmed, and it's cool, that's cool, but well, now you just need to learn how to like maneuver that, and what is a good way to express that and understand that, and how does that come out. And then also, a lot of the times people take on roles subconsciously, not realizing that there's something going on in their life that attaches them to that role. So then you have to ask, well, why do I feel irritated that I'm doing this anyway? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you gotta judge yourself. And that's a hard thing to do, but as an actor, you have to. You have to always be honest with yourself, because you have to be honest with the camera.
Exactly.
And that's, I'm sorry guys, like that sucks, but like that's what you gotta do. You gotta be a little honest with yourself. It hurts a little.
It hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Actually, not a little. It hurts like hell. Especially when you're really diving into that truth. Like when you're really tapping into there, it's like the hardest things. Like, because like you said, because it's like you said, like with the whole thing about like sometimes you realize that the character's parallel to a situation that you've covered up. And you never thought to look at it.
Nope.
But now this character's pulling that out of you. And it's like, oh, why does this hurt? I don't want to perform this anymore. I don't feel like the reason is because you're dealing with it and you haven't really dealt with it in your real life, but you're trying to express it in this piece, and like those things don't run, like that doesn't happen. Like you said, like the truth needs to be there on camera, because like the camera is going to catch everything. People are going to play this back, and if they don't believe you, they're going to be like, oh, hold on, let me run this. I don't know, there was something a little off about this scene, like.
And I think like one good way to really like channel that though, like I say that and then it's like, well, what does that even mean? How does that even like make sense? What do I do? You know? And I think like one thing that you could do, we should all do, is every moment we come through like a creative process, when we get to the end of, you know, because they come in sections, it's like tabs that you do to complete something, and when you get to the end of a tab, it's like you should sit in silence for a second and you should see how it felt to like get to the end of that, and like what does that feel like for me, and okay, well, whenever I move into this next tab, what energy am I bringing with it, and like what do I want to do better, and how can I expand on this, and like, you know, the same way you do like progress reports on yourself, it's like you check in and just check in and sit with yourself more often, instead of waiting till the end of a project to sit with yourself and feel it. Like no. When you're done writing, you should sit. When you're done recording, you should sit. Like, you know what I mean?
Like facts. You need that moment of not thinking and just using your senses. Going back to that observing thing, being observant. Observant is more than just eyes. It's ears, it's taste, it's smell, it's touch. It's all your senses. And I think a lot of times we put observing only with looking, and like being able to look and scan the room and be like, oh, this is over there, that is over there. That's great, but can you tell me what you heard in the room? Can you tell me what you smell? Can you tell me what it tastes like? And that sounds weird, but a room has a taste. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I don't know what this tastes like, but
it's pretty stale in here.
It's pretty stale. But I mean, yes, you know, like you gotta be able to communicate that. That's still a taste. Staleness is still a taste, you know. So
it's just stale in
it's
here.
Still,
That's pretty funny.
That's hilarious. But I think that's really, really important as an actor and the actress, especially, but also as a director, as you know, a creator, as a person who wants to be an artist, or artiste, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be able to use all your senses, and also, like you said, take that moment to have a little reflection.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let me reflect on that.
Yeah.
Even like when you go in, like, I know when you go to the park and you're sitting and you're watching all the people, all, you know, you get all these thoughts about them, and then I'm pretty sure after that moment you're like, let me just sit here and think about all this. Now, how did this play into
so funny.
whatever character?
Life,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what script I'm writing? How did this play?
For me, the biggest thing for me with that is like, man, my brother. I love my brother to death. I love my brother to death. But like my family or like somebody in my life will just come in and they'll be telling me about their day. Like they had whatever day they had, and it'll be like something within the midst of them talking and just like getting out. Oh, I hated that. My boss did that to me and whatever. And then they say something. And it's like, I'm in my head like, oh my God, I could write a whole like 3 scenes about that. You know what I mean? And I'm so blessed because I just, like if I was on while he was telling me all that, I would have missed it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Because when you're creating and you're in that space of creating, you're not hearing anyone. Like, like seriously, I be talking to my girlfriend all the time, telling her like, hey, come back to work. Cause she gets caught up in her world, and like, I'll be trying to like talk to her, and I'm like, they're just thinking. Yeah. They're not even like,
this is no structure to this. Yeah.
There's nothing to this conversation. I should just stop talking, let you think about whatever you're thinking about and keep moving. Cause it's like, trying to get a person out of that creative space is hard as hell because their mind is rolling. They're like kicking out ideas, like they're not here. So that whole point about being able to cut it off and being observant, that's really important. Another thing I would say is like Drake. We're talking about Drake, and everybody knows Drake is right now at the tippity top. And the thing I heard he does is most of his songs he writes from the people in the room. Like all these people in the room, and he just like is listening to them, and most of his lines and his quotable lines come from what people say in the room.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, that's crazy as shit, like, but that's smart.
Wow.
And that's so like truth, like, wow. So that's why you have these people in the room now. Like, it's not just a party, like, for you. Because, you know, he talked about, like, oh, I don't have a...
It's so real.
But that's
you gotta
real.
get people in these scenarios.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta see people when they feel away.
Yes.
Because that's all it is.
That's all it is. Because music is really a scene.
That's such a good way not to throw your emotion in.
Yes.
That's such a good way not to, like, let me just listen to everybody else's emotions, and then I don't have to give mine.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
And then interpret yours. Like,
yeah, that's so real. And then add to it.
Add to it.
Damn.
Build on that from there.
I think I'm like gonna like do something really cool with that. Yeah. I'm probably gonna go listen to somebody else write a script or something. What the fuck? We're gonna call it the Drake experiment.
The Drake experiment. I
really
love
cool.
that.
Yeah.
No, for real.
Damn, that's a good one.
But it's a good point, and it makes sense when you think about it. And like hindsight, it's like, oh, okay, that actually makes perfect sense.
Wow.
That's why your songs now translate so much to people.
Yeah.
That's why people love listening to you, because they can hear themselves. Because I've made that comment before. Oh, I felt that way once
Everybody
before.
got a couple Drake ones.
You know,
everyone
can relate to Drake in some way. You know,
it's facts. It's facts.
That is seriously facts. My next question is just, how do you price your work? And I know pricing is not something I really like to focus on, because I don't think pricing is. It's definitely the foundation. It's not the only pillar though, and I feel like some people feel like that's the only pillar, and they give so less to the other pillars, which is truth, cultivating a real creative idea that's tied to truth, that ultimately leads to money. Like, that's how it should go. But a lot of people start with money and then go to cultivating an idea and then trying to throw truth in there.
Yeah, I'll say 2 things to that. The first thing with pricing that I'll say is, you know, I love the way that you worded the question. And the reason being is because you addressed that there's so much more than money to a project. But I think, like I said earlier, you know, whenever you're actually putting all the truth onto the page, you come to a realization about, you know, how much work this is really going to take. And sometimes I have made the mistake, and I probably will continue to make this mistake until I feel like it's always going to be a mistake. You're always going to feel more valuable than you've coined at the beginning of something, you know, because you grow through the process. So there's been times I've, you know, priced my work at something to, like, say for instance, like, that's what we've been using. So if I was to write something, well, why I get into it, and now I'm like, okay, well, I want to give more to this because I've involved myself now, you know what I'm saying? So it becomes a little bit more, and it grows a little bit more, and I actually want it to be good, because I'm not going to do anything that's not good, right? So there's a sense of value that comes with it, and you have to know your own value to something,
right?
And you have to be honest with that value, because people like to overprice their work and then not have all the pillars behind them. But once you do have the pillars, and when you actually do that, there's a lot of different components. That's what I would say is, you know, focus on the pillars, focus on making sure that you can do the job wholeheartedly, fully, down to the details of things and how you want to operate it. I always make a project timeline, and like, this is what I want it to look like this is what I should do, you know what I'm saying? At this point we should be working on this, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's something that's new for me, and it's really been helping. But once I know what it all is going to entail, what I then take a backseat to is not my own self-worth, essentially, but how much I know who I am, right? I know what I'm going to bring to the project, but how much months am I going to be working on this? How many locations are we going to need? How many crew members am I going to need? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's really like, I focus on building the bigger part of it, and then I focus on the small fees for me, because at this point, like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my funds from it, but I do know I'm building something with longevity. Everything I touch has longevity, I feel. And so I don't want to stifle longevity to focus on fees, but I do want you to focus on, you as a client, to focus on the fact that there's these components. So don't look at the fee. Look at these components. Like, I got you. I got you. Look right here.
Look on offer.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what you're getting. This is what you're doing.
Right.
So people also want to just say, this is my price, and then, okay, well, what am I getting from that? You know what I'm saying? When you go to a website, it tells you that this bundle comes with this, and this.
Exactly.
People don't like to, they don't know their value, so they can't say their value. So I think that it comes with a introspection first, for sure.
Facts. I love that. Especially when you went back and you said about you start with the big components.
Yeah.
Which you don't like. I'm like, you didn't say money was a big component. Is my point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a lot of people say, well, money is the big component, right?
But what is that money paying for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's ignorance. You know what I'm saying? You can't fill the area in which you don't know. Like you can't pay for something.
And then you're getting the wrong money. So
yeah.
You're gonna end up shorting yourself.
Exactly. Because then it's like, now you're set into this one budget, and it's like, oh, but I want to do this. Yeah. But you don't have this in the budget. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're locking yourself in, like you're signing a contract with a big company. And I think that's where a lot of people are pulling from, is all these people in the past who've worked with big companies who had them sign contracts. That's why they stuck to the one budget. That's why they worked inside their budget. But now we're in the day of age of a lot of technology is upgrading. Cameras are upgrading. Things are coming more accessible. And so cleverness is probably like the key.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Cleverness is the key to it. Like, and being as clever as you can in the beginning will help out with the budget in the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I remember that the second thing I was going to say was leverage, because we think about that. This is new for me too, and it's been working very well lately. I'm like, what the fuck? Because, you know, you can talk about money, and big component, sure. Money is not, sure, great. I need to make sure I have this money.
Yeah.
Leverage though, man.
Yeah.
Like leverage though.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book, and it's a producer, and he was talking about how he started as an actor,
mm-hmm.
and then he wanted to get into producing. Well, he had a little bit more network at this point, right? So he can go to these big studios, but Sony wanted to hire him to be the lead in a film.
Exactly.
He stopped. He was like, no. I will only do the film for you guys. Like, he stopped doing acting for like a year, so people stopped seeing him as much, right? So now there's a sense of, now I'm valuable because people aren't seeing me all the time, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Create distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so whenever they come to me, now they want me, so I can say something here.
Yeah.
So again, whenever I go into that room and I go sit in the corner, and now you're ready to listen to me, okay, cool, great, let me tell you. And I don't need, even if you don't have the budget, well, how can my service help your service?
Exactly.
And how can I cross-contaminate these audiences that we have, and these ideas that we have, and how can what I do serve you? And what he would do is he would say, okay, well, I'll do this for you. Don't pay me the fee. I don't want equity. What I want is finance my next film.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Like, do you understand?
Yeah, take the money you was gonna pay for me that I was gonna use probably anyway.
Yeah, he was gonna get $250,000 as, and that's fine because he was financing his films before this. Right. So he was gonna get $250,000 from like working as an actor on this film, right?
Yeah.
And then turn around and invest it in himself, which is what he's been doing.
Yeah.
But now he has so much more because don't give me that money. Put your name on it.
Yeah.
Because now I have your name. But fuck the money. I don't care.
Fuck the money. It's not about the money.
Now I have leverage. Now this film gets to go a little bit further. So now I'm not working with my now I have $250,000 checks. That's great, but you're not like, you know, it needs to go kind of like this.
Yes.
It doesn't need to go like this. And when we're not working with people and we're not using our leverage with each other, we're working harder.
Yeah, no, and that's real because at the end of the day, like, leverage is like the number one thing that most businessmen use or businesswomen use. Like, it's the number one thing, actually. It's not the most, it's the number one thing. It's all about leverage. It's all about negotiation. And negotiation is all about leverage. Yeah. And like, I realized that from watching a couple of like shows. There was different shows I watched, and there was the way the character was tactical about the way he went about, or they went about like getting what they wanted.
Yeah.
They went about in such a way that gave them so much more power. You know what I'm saying? And they had it wasn't money. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna give you $10,000 to make you do it. No, it was literally, I went through this process because I knew you was gonna do this one thing. So since I knew you was gonna do this one thing, and I knew you was gonna need my help, I waited for you to need my help, and then came in and was like, okay, well, here's what I want you to do. If you want my help on this, like, if you want me to come here, this is what I need. And
now I can charge $10,000 more, and it doesn't even matter because I can turn around, and then what will happen is the project or the thing will end up making money.
Exactly.
Like, that will have, like, you know what I'm saying? Versus like trying to put all the money. No, I mean, cool, I'm gonna get money in my pockets fast, but at the end of the day, we need to be making money from what we're doing, from what we're creating. So let's put money there. Like,
yeah.
But it's
no,
we're gonna get there. Everybody gonna get it.
Everybody gonna get it. Everyone's gonna figure it out eventually. Like, seriously. And I think what it is like, it's a new age of business, and I think everyone is now figuring out that I have to be business savvy. Yeah. And I think everyone is figuring out we're always still gonna have like, the learning curve is always going to be there.
Facts.
But people are going to figure it out in their own time. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, it'll be cut down a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Because more people. Work with people who understand that.
Exactly.
You know? And I think, too, like with that personal development thing, when you understand how far you've grown, you know that, okay, I can charge more, or okay, I can ask for more, or okay, these are the people I need to be around. And it's no longer about, I want to bring everybody with me, or I want to do this. It's not about that. It's, at this point, my life trajectory is moving, and I want to upgrade the people who are around me as I move. And there will be people who obviously stay because they get it and they're able and fluid and moving with their own life as well. But we focus a lot on what's around us and not understanding that at a certain point you grow past that and you need to continue.
Yes, for sure. My next question is just like, who's your biggest influences? Like, I'm curious about that. From all these great conversations that we stopped and talked about and had, I'm just curious about like, who's your biggest influences, because there got to be some legends in there, or some people that I didn't know, so I can go look it up and get some more gems from them and like get where you're at, you know, because I really love your mindset when it comes to the business of film and acting and everything. Because you don't meet a lot of people who think the way you think, and you know, I feel the same way, you know what I'm saying? And I know that there's people out there, when I say don't think about money, don't think about money, and it's like, whoa, you acting like I'm killing your whole dream. I thought it, you know.
Yeah.
But I love your mindset. I'm just curious about who's your biggest influences.
So my biggest influences, I think that there's a lot of people who inspire me.
Okay. Yes.
There's a lot of people who inspire me. World, and there's the greats everywhere, but what I'll say as far as my influence, this is a little bit weird, I guess you could say, because my biggest influences are like me and God, for real. Like, it's like tough because I love like what a lot of people have done. Like I really do. But I think if I look at it and I take good things from what people have done, I get inspired by that, and then I get to pull it into myself and decide what I want to do with that. But I think whenever I put it on a person of that's who I'm inspired by, it almost like, I mean, it's their power because they did it, but it's almost like it puts the power back in them. Yeah. So it's not like, it's like, yeah, I'm inspired by that and I can learn from that and I want to do that, but I don't want that inspiration to live in you. Sorry, you inspired me, great, I think, you know what I'm saying? But at a certain point, I want to take that and understand what that means for me. I wake up in the morning and God gives me an idea, and that God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, thinking about it like that. It's just your spirit, connection, alignment, love, essentially really feels good. So if I go there, not if I go, because sure, I love, Halle Berry is one of my favorite actresses, right? So if I go watch her movies, they don't always make me feel good. But when they do, they do. But if I go into alignment and I think about Halle Berry movies, now I'm thinking about Halle Berry movies in the perspective of me. So that's kind of what I'll say is I'm very much inspired by a lot of people, but I'm influenced by spirit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the way you put that. Because influence and inspiration is two different things.
Facts.
One.
We gotta be careful with that.
We gotta be careful with that because those kind of like blend a little bit, but they're definitely different. They're definitely far less. And I think that is very much so also a very important point, because a lot of times people let people influence them, and when you let people influence you, you try to be them. And so at that point, you're not truth anymore. You're a reincarnation of whatever you're looking at.
Exactly. If you're influenced by something, like you could get drunk and be influenced by alcohol. Like that's what it's called. Like that, under the influence, under the influence. Or whatever else, or something. But whatever the fuck, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want to be influenced by anybody else. I want to be influenced by my spirit and go where I'm led. And then be inspired by everything that comes along the way.
And then who's better to influence you than the person who created you? Like,
Thank you.
No, for real. Thank you. Give me more.
Please, all of that, please.
No, facts. So I love that. The last question that I have is just what to expect from you. What should we be looking out for? You know, what's coming from the production company. Also, tell me the name of the production. I don't think you ever mentioned the name.
I didn't. Applewood Productions.
Apple Productions. Applewood.
Yeah, like apple, like an apple tree. Applewood.
Okay,
yeah,
I like that. Because it's
the logo is an
growing.
apple tree. Yeah, everything is always continual. Everything is always growing. Facts.
Was you thinking of the Given Tree when you was the Given Tree ever a thought?
I don't know the Given Tree.
You don't know the Given Tree?
I don't. I think I should know about that.
Wow, you should really look at the Given Tree. It's a children's book, but it's a dope story.
It's about that's the green tree.
That gives off.
It's painted like I know what you're talking about. I do. It's a white book.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have read that book.
Okay.
I did not think about that book. No, that's interesting. But yes, that's essentially the idea. I think take an apple, plant a seed.
You're constantly giving, growing.
Just grow.
Yeah. Facts. I love that. Okay. But what to expect from you in this upcoming year, in a few months, whatever it may be.
Man, I'm sorry, y'all, but it's like such a good interview. I wish I had more projects out right now so people could actually like envision and embody that. But I think for me and for my company, there's probably going to be a couple of things that come next year. And bear with me that we create very good quality products. So takes time, takes a bit of a second. There's a few things coming, and a couple of them are films, a couple of them are visual projects, music videos, things like that, and then also like series work too. So I'm really focused on expanding the business of things where I don't, I think I've gotten really good at creating. But I want to get good at expanding. I want to get good at using leverage, and I want to make sure that I can, get things that I do create in a place where they can actually be seen in a whole scale, and also have not only just to be seen, but if I go into the detail that I have gone through and all the projects I've worked on, I want to do some cool shit with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some cool shit with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
just past your living room.
Bro, no, past the living room, past the AMC theater, past, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want people to experience. I think with Applewood Productions, what I will say is, I really want people to experience a film. So, like, me doing movie premieres is going to be different. Like, just everything is different because I think that we're coming into such a different time where things can be, like, we are, like you said, creating a whole new wave of businessmen, men and women. Like, y'all don't think that more creativity is going to come out of that? Come on, man. Like, Travis Scott putting heads everywhere. Like,
look,
I'm coming. Like, I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming for sure.
No, so, for real.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I love that. There was the last little thing you had said. Oh God.
It's like,
I know. Let's see. You was talking about bigger scale. You know, thinking of bigger scale. And I think that's the tools of growth, the tools of growing. You've seen some things and you're like, I need more.
I've seen those things.
Now I'm waiting for the next thing behind those things. And these things are pretty big, so that means the next thing is going to be even bigger than these things. And so I definitely agree with that, and I definitely understand that. I would just say, you know, everybody just keep an eye out for her, you know what I'm saying? Stay close to her page.
There's a few music videos and stuff out that I've directed. There are things out that you can find that I've done. But just as far as like how I see myself now and like, the person who's sitting here in this interview is like, no,
I definitely get you. Keep an eye out, because I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like, when you start creating, you realize that like, you have a date in your head, and then like it may go because you might want to add something else or something. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and
more
like,
so, it's like the date is then because there's so many things that I want to do with the things that I have.
Exactly.
That's like I've been sitting on stuff for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like making sure, like doing the very details of it to make sure that it is all concise, and that's down to the details of the creative part and then the details of the business, and these are two things that take time. Like,
especially business. How can I make this the most lucrative thing back to me? It's because, like we said, it's not about the money. But we all want to be paid. We all still living. Like, we all need to.
But you got to make sure you have the right ownership.
Because contracts, different things, small details in the contract can take your project and take it away from you where it doesn't belong to you anymore, and this company owns, like, so like I definitely get that. Like, the business aspect is the most important thing, and it's like the thing that I'm focusing on right now wholeheartedly, with getting more and more involved with things that are requiring funds and money and things for it to happen. Leverage. But yeah, you know, it's just one of those things that, like, it's really important. Like, the business aspect, if you don't, I say this and I'll be done. If you don't understand the foundation of business, you can never ever be able to break it. And that was something
to break it. Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? That's something my film teacher said to us in the beginning.
It's so real.
It was so real. No, he's fuck all that.
But it's real.
If you don't understand the foundation, the basics, the things where we come from, you'll never be able to innovate it.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to break it.
That's real.
Because what are you breaking?
You don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, that's so real. Because you don't know.
No, you don't. But look, we can go on and on, and we're probably gonna keep talking after the cameras go off. But look, I just want to say to Grafx Tongue, you know what I'm saying, y'all know how we get out of here. Keep chasing your dreams.
Thanks,
you know what I'm saying? Don't let anybody stop you from going after what you want. And the word of the day, embodiment.
Embodiment, yeah, the word of the day. I was like, what is the word of the day? Yeah, it's embodiment.
Embodiment.
Yeah, embodiment.
Embodiment. That's the word of the day. So embody whatever you're doing.
Facts.
Be whatever you're doing, and have the truth in whatever you're doing.
Thanks.
We love you. I love you guys. Peace out.
Hi guys, this is HAILEE DYER, and thanks for watching Grafx Tongue. Peace.